I hadn't broken a single item, hadn't yelled, hadn't demanded the candor I was entitled to. Instead, I stood rigid, my eyes glued to the illuminated display, taking in the words she assumed I'd never uncover. He called her love. She called him my soul. That alone was sufficient, more than sufficient, to douse the spark of absolute trust I'd held in her. So, I picked up my keys, slipped my wallet into my jeans, and walked out the door. No theatrics, no parting shots, just a profound quiet. She had already turned her heart to another. I respected her choice by vanishing from her existence. Folks often say time soothes all sorrows, but that's a shallow reassurance. Time only coaches you to shove the pain further down, to don a mask that conceals it more effectively. That initial night, I crashed on a sofa in the apartment of someone I scarcely knew, a colleague I'd maybe chatted with a couple of times. I told him I needed a temporary place to stay. He didn't probe. Perhaps he saw the narrative etched in the weariness of my expression. I deleted her contact that night, not from malice, but because I couldn't foresee what her voice might do to the delicate shards of my being. I gathered my things and moved to a different town, began anew, and took a job restoring old homes. There was an odd solace in ripping out rotted wood and shaping something fresh from the debris. It felt like a subtle reflection of my own process, a way to repair through effort. But the nights, they were unforgiving. Not because I missed her presence, but because I grieved the vision of the woman I thought she was. There's a deep divide between longing for someone and lamenting the fantasy you wove around them. I kept the reality bottled up, never sharing it with my kin or my lifelong friend. It was a load too cumbersome to hand over, a weight I carried on my own. I didn't resent her, but I detested what her disloyalty did to the part of me that believed in fidelity, in oaths meant to hold. And just when I conditioned myself to stop looking over my shoulder, she showed up. It was a Saturday afternoon. I had just finished a grueling shift, exhausted, my clothes coated in sawdust and spotted with paint. I was unlocking my door when the sound of tires on gravel reached me. I didn't give it much thought until her voice pierced the calm. "Nathan." I halted, turned, and there she was, the woman who had dismantled me, now standing in front of me, her eyes gleaming, her hands shaky. She appeared reduced, not in form, but in spirit, like a house eroded by years of abandonment. I didn't say a word, just locked eyes with her, letting the absence of sound convey my stance. She took a cautious step nearer, her voice unsteady. "I've been hunting for you for months." I gave a slight shrug. "Looks like you succeeded." She held a weathered photo in her fingers, a picture of us from a getaway 2 years earlier, laughing carefree, a moment I once believed encapsulated us. "I wrecked it all," she whispered, her voice splitting like the cracked timber I'd removed from aged frames. "I don't expect you to excuse me, but I had to face you to say I'm truly, deeply sorry." I wanted to explode, to ask why she threw away everything we'd created, why she violated a pledge she'd vowed was sacred. But I stayed mute, arms crossed, heart fortified, letting her unburden her guilt. She revealed that he had abandoned her, that he never meant to linger, that the excitement she chased dissolved into nothingness, leaving her with only remorse. She confessed she thought she wanted something greater, but losing me proved I was the greatness she'd overlooked. It's a harsh irony that people only see your worth after they've crushed you. Her tears flowed freely, right there on my doorstep, with passersby probably sneaking looks, but I was past concern. She begged for a moment to talk, to grab a coffee, to dissect the wreckage. For a brief second, I hesitated, recalling the rhythm of her voice when it was laced with joy. A sliver of me still yearned for that. But then I anchored myself. I hadn't walked away because my feelings for her had withered. I walked away because hers had. I met her gaze and said, "I spent a year stitching myself back together. You don't get to breeze back like nothing was fractured." She shook her head, tears pouring faster. "No, I know what fractured. It was me." That landed heavily because I saw it. She looked shattered, but not because she pined for me. She pined for the man I'd been, the one who absolved without question. That man had vanished. I told her I wished her serenity and restoration, that I hoped she'd one day learn to love without inflicting harm first. Her cries grew louder, but I didn't extend a hand. That wasn't my role anymore. She faded away as quietly as I had a year prior. I stepped inside, closed the door, and pressed my back against it, my chest tight. The pain wasn't from love that lingered. It was from letting go, not of her, but of the anguish, the craving for clarity, the part of me that sought resolution. I didn't need it anymore. I'd already secured what I'd been chasing.